It's been a hot minute since I've walked you around my space. A lot has changed. Some plants are thriving, some didn't make it, especially after the last kind of couple of weeks that I was away on holiday. My mum's collection had a big update, and also the monster behind me has had something done to it for the first time in 6 years. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel, Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of it behind me, it's tropical houseplants. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for all their well wishes just before and whilst I was away on holiday. It truly meant the world to me. It was nice to go away, decompress, relax for a bit, even knowing full well whilst I was out there that there was a massive heat wave again. I think that was a third heat wave that was happening in the UK, which I had not planned for. I think maybe I was being naive, thinking that it's not going to happen again, but it did whilst I was away. So there's a few updates on that point as well. But I got surprised a lot by my collection, and I thought, what better time than for me to show you around the space and give you small updates on everything. You know me, the good, the bad, and the ugly sometimes. So one of the first few things I wanted to talk through before I start walking around the actual space of my conservatory, you can kind of see some of the plants around, ignore kind of grow lights and fans, you know the deal, and I've got this on a gimbal, so my arm's going to be very tired by the end of this. But it's my mum's collection. Annoyingly, whilst I was both in Greece and Cyprus, and I was thinking to myself, Memo, must do some filming of the Cypriot plants. Realised the day that I arrived back in Greece that I did not film those, unfortunately. But I do have my mum's collection of plants from her balcony in Greece. So I'll put it on the screen now and I'll kind of quickly talk you through it. So you might be able to see that a lot of the plants that she's got have had some explosive growth. You might have seen in the beginning, I don't know how this is going to set up because I'm going to overlay this over myself, but there is the crown of thorns is absolutely stinking ginormous now. Her ficuses are all doing really well. Same thing goes for her like ginormous Monstera deliciosa. And the other thing is as well that you might be able to see at some point when I show you that behind some other plants is where she's got her Anthuriums, and they're doing really well. I mean, they're just Anthurium andrianums, but they're blooming for her as well. And I don't know if it'll come across clearly in the video. Hopefully it does. But there's a lot of plants in front of them. Like to some people, that might be like there's very little light that is going on for those plants, but actually they're happy enough that they're also blooming. But by and large, most of the plants are doing really, really well. The Alocasia is absolutely ginormous at this point. Obviously, it's really happy. And yes, I know that the Alocasia that my mother has, there was a large debate because she just thought, I've got a Colocasia. And I'm just not looking at those leaves. It's not a Colocasia, it's an Alocasia. But regardless, all the plants are doing really well. The ones in Cyprus as well, even though I don't have any photos or videos to update you on, her syngonium, her massive syngonium is still massive. The spider plants are all still huge, basically. Same with all of her pothos plants. She's struggling a bit with some of her potted hibiscus, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And my mother's discovering the joys of ladybugs. Because apparently we're related. So I'm kind of telling her what she needs to be doing, and she just, oh no, this is really working. I'm glad it's working for you. You don't have as many as I do, so it's a lot easier for you to clear them up when there is an issue. But overall, her collection is looking and behaving beautifully at the moment, and she's really happy with it as well. It was really funny whilst I was there because I kind of went out on the balcony. Both my parents were on the balcony. They're kind of the time when I arrived, bit of background on there. So the way that I kind of structured this holiday just to make my life a bit easier is I flew into Greece one evening. I stayed there for the night, and then the next immediate morning I flew to Cyprus because it's just it's a nicer way to split up the flight time basically, because it's like 3.5 hours to Greece from the UK for the people that don't know this and maybe aren't in Europe. And then from Greece to Cyprus, it's only like an hour and 15 minutes of a flight. So super, super easy. But interestingly, that first evening when I got there, I went to see my parents. They were sitting on the balcony just before they went to bed. And I kind of started talking to them. And Mum just kind of looked at me. She was just like, hold on. You haven't said anything about my garden. And I'm just like, yes. I'm just like, Mum, your plants are looking great. Congrats. So, so yes, most of her collection is doing beautifully. Interestingly, when I went to Cyprus, and I'll link the video when I did the kind of update from her Cypriot plants, that massive bird of paradise, they've chopped back down to a smaller size, so it's going to start growing again. So it's not currently 2 stories high, but give it enough time and it will be there again. The other big update is obviously what's happening with some of the plants from my most recent unboxing. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this would be the second video you're seeing this week. The first video would have been another unboxing. And I'll let you go, I'll link it at the top somewhere. I'll let you go and see why I had to do another unboxing pretty much as soon as I landed in the UK. I'm sure some of you can guess. But I know a lot of people have been asking for further updates on some of the plants that I got from the last one. So, first one is here. So this is the Musa Florida, so the variegated banana. This new leaf is still very much hardening off, and I'll bring you in so you can kind of see it. There's some variegation at the bottom there. But this was the leaf that grew, let me turn you around. This was the leaf that grew whilst I was away on holiday, but overall, it's doing really, really well. The one thing that I have learned really quickly on, and thanks to everybody that suggested that maybe I go and have a look at Claire's video, and I did take some inspiration with how Claire was also caring for her plant, which is doing similar things to what I was doing 6 or 7 years ago when I was growing more traditional bananas, which is as quickly as you possibly can with a banana, especially as soon as they start getting bigger, put it in a self-watering pot of any variety. I think Claire's done hers with semi-hydro. I didn't want to transition mine into semi-hydro, so I have kept it, let me show you my Bodunk setup for this plant. I've kept it in a tall tower pot with holes. There's a very small pot underneath it, which is predominantly working as a bit of a reservoir. And let me bring you down lower so you can see what the situation is there. Ignore the big drink behind me because it's early morning on a Sunday and I need my coffee. But what the situation is with this plant, and I'll bring it up so you can kind of see, can you see that thread? So there's water in there, the roots are growing like mad, and I might need to repot this again soon. This has already been repotted twice since I've got it. But it is getting large. A banana is doing what a banana is meant to do. This is what I always say with bananas. If you want a quick payoff, especially if you're just starting off and you want to build your confidence. Granted, I'm saying, and this is not just applying to variegated bananas, but if you want to build your confidence, if your confidence has been knocked back, if you've lost some plants for a while, even if you're not intending on keeping a banana full-time indoors or full-time at all, basically, it is a good one, at least in my experience, especially if you're an overwaterer, to help build your confidence up a bit. I find the standard form, I mean, even this variegated one hasn't, my experiences haven't been that different from when I was growing my regular bananas. Remember, the cardinal things with bananas is never let it dry out and give it a lot more light than you think it needs, basically. It is a plant that if you think about how they're growing, they are usually growing pretty much in almost direct light outdoors. So as much as you can give it, it will thank you for it. Just be warned that when you keep it happy, at some point, it's going to take over your entire house, so then you need to decide what you're going to do with it. But it's a good way to build some confidence. And the variegated form is not showing me any difference to what I experienced with the regular bananas. Now, bringing you back up and showing you some of the other plants. So, let me grab some plants. Apologies for all the awkward angles. The Queen of Hearts with the slug-eaten leaf, which is still doing fine, but look at what I saw when I came back. So, yes, got a new baby leaf on the way out. I did transition it over to a net pot at some point. Didn't know it was already in a net pot. as soon as after I got it, but I kept some of the initial media in there, but it was making me very nervous because I don't know if anybody else gets this. When you've got something from a grower for however much you want to leave the growing media from the grower, and you know that it goes against what most people say, don't move it out and all of these things, especially with Anthuriums, it makes me nervous because the way that the growers or the sellers might be growing it is going to be entirely different, more than likely, to how I'm growing my plants in my conservatory with the heat, with the light, with all these things. So I always say, if you're that nervous about it and you're okay with the risk of repotting early, especially with some things that are as sensitive as Anthuriums are, go with your gut feel, which is what I did. And I kind of moved the whole thing into the usual kind of Soil Ninja, Anthurium, and Orchid soil mix, because I know that, I know how to work that, I know how it works in my space, I know what to do with that one. So, and I think I caught it just before it was starting to get some root rot. So, go with your gut sometimes. One of the plants from that order did not make it, spoiler, and that is part of the reason for the unboxing video, which I have hopefully linked earlier on in this video. But, so I'm not going to touch on that one, but there is another one that I want to show you. Ta-da-da! I am keeping a Clarinervium alive. It's doing really, really well. That, this one here, because obviously one hand is holding the camera and the other hand is holding the plant, so using the nose for binder. This one's doing really well. That one that I was just pointing with my nose is the newest leaf. And I think it's almost fully hardened off now, but it's doing well. I don't see any root rot with the rots, with the roots. So yeah, it's doing well. It's doing really, 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 really well. So I can't complain about that one. I'm also seeing some other plants that I'm going to give you an update in just a second, but let's keep going with the order plants first, and then I'll give you updates on some of the other interesting things that have happened within my space. The redness that you're seeing back here, by the way, on the Esmeralda Spirit, as far as I can tell, that's probably a bit of sun stress. I don't think it's a watering issue necessarily, but the plant's doing fine. It's pushing loads of new leaves. It's not dropping any leaves. I'm gonna let it be. It doesn't have any pests. It's fine. Let me show you something else as well. So, whilst I get soil all over my trousers. This is the Thai constellation. So far, I've kept it in my collection. And it's doing well. It's doing well. This was the newest leaf, but this one was kind of unfurling when I got it. There isn't a new leaf coming here. Spoiler alert for all the people who have never owned a Monstera Thai constellation and are thinking of getting one, and you might not be prepared for this. Sound off in the comments down below if you agree with me. I know not everybody is going to agree with me, that's fine. But in my experience, it doesn't matter what stage the Monstera Thai constellation is in, whether it's a bit more juvenile or the larger one that I've got on there. It is a waiting game for the leaves. It does consistently bring out leaves, but it won't do it in the fastest way possible. So bear that in mind. You're not necessarily doing anything wrong. And yes, I know there's going to be some people going, oh no, but my one grows really fast. But I want to see a consensus down below of people that have owned it on how many people found this plant to be fast and how many people in terms of new growth and how many people realize that it's just a bit of a waiting game until it kind of sizes up enough, basically. So just bear that in mind. I'm sure other people have talked about this as well, but this is not going to be a plant that, at least in my experience, is going to be one that you're going to get a lot of explosive growth really fast on. And I had to bring this down because it's too dull where it is. So this is the Alocasia Lukey one. Lukey 2, this is the second one. The other one still hasn't brought out a new leaf. I'm losing some of the lowest leaves, that's fine. This is getting beat down with light and it is so happy. It is pushing out a new leaf roughly every 2 to 3 weeks now. So this one here is the newest leaf. You can see that it's a bit more of a lighter green versus the others. I still think this is a very, very beautiful Alocasia. Now, the test with this one isn't going to be the spring and summer because I was able to keep the last one that I had happy in the spring and summer, not even in this space, but in my bathroom upstairs. The test with this one will be when it starts getting cooler and darker, whether or not I can keep it happy. But I've kept it in the growers media. There is so many healthy roots coming out at the bottom. I am trying as much as possible not to repot this and stress this out, but it might need a one-up very, very soon, just so it doesn't need watering every 2 or 3 days. But I need to be very ginger. I did a whole video on Alocasias and things that people don't talk about their care. So I'll link that as well on the top of this video. But so far, this is doing well as well. Right, shall we move on to some other planty updates? And let me show you one. Let me get on a chair. So behind me there, you might notice that I've got my Paeonia repens variegated. And it is very high now in my conservatory. Behind it, you might be able to see some of the orchids, potentially. I don't know, because the light is in my face at the moment. But it is doing exceptionally well. It is very, very, very long at the moment. And you can kind of see it here. It's almost creating like a column down, which is fine by me. It is filling up the space that unfortunately and I cannot remember now what it was called. It was the one with the leaves that had all the oranges and the reds, which unfortunately did not make it in the heat wave before I left. It was already struggling. It didn't make it when I came back. That is now in the bin, or the compost bin, basically. But this one took its place. A couple of other ones, so I'll kind of take you through some of the struggle buses, or the ones that I am being a bit more pragmatic in terms of how I'm dealing with them, which basically means a lot of these things are going straight into the compost bin. The me of 6 years ago would cringe that I'm not trying to rehab some of these plants, but I don't have the time nor the patience nor the space to be rehabbing. And also a lot of these plants that have struggled, annoyingly the one that was here before, that one was okay. It never really gave me any problems. The rest of them that I'm going to show you now have always given me problems. They have never been 100% happy. And at this point, I'm just going to let go. Like, these plants are not for me, and I'm okay with that. The next one will sadden me quite a bit, which is the one behind me here. You can see some of the browning that is happening. It's amongst the other things. It's the one that's on this moss pole. That's the Philodendron, or it was the Philodendron heterocraspidum. It did not make it. The truth about the Philodendron heterocraspidum, because when I first got it years ago, I was enamored with it. Still am. Do I still think this is one of the most beautiful plants that I have ever owned in my collection? Yes, it's giving the kind of the Kaylee Ellen long boy thing. I'm with her on the kind of fascination with those types of plants. Exceptionally difficult to keep happy. Whenever I find it on any retailers that are not in the South American region, basically, so not importers, but local resellers, you get very small plants for a lot of money. And I can tell you now for a fact, the reason why they're as expensive for as little as they are is they grow exceptionally slow. They are super sensitive. This is possibly one of the most temperamental philodendrons that I've ever owned. Like, you need to get its conditions exactly right. And if you don't, it will go super fast. There's other plants that are equally temperamental, but they give you a bit of a long warning that I'm not happy, I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying. This one will go from I'm happy to I'm unhappy to I'm dead within no minutes flat. So I am not trying to revive that. I've also got a propagation from the original one that I got, because for the people that have been here for a while, the ones that I got from Ecuagenera, originally, both of these were from Ecuagenera. The bigger one was fine, it survived okay. The first one was one of the first rotted plants that I got from Ecuagenera, or the ones that rotted as soon as I got them. Chopped it up, propagated it, has not grown, has not died, but hasn't done very much in nearly 3 or 4 years. So that one's going to probably end up in the compost bin. I don't have time, nor I have the space or the patience to be dealing with something that just doesn't do very much, sadly. The other thing that is going soon, this you might look at it and go, but it's still green. It is, trust me, it's on its way out. This is what I bought as a Hoya China beans, and everybody was just like, no, it's not a Hoya, it's a Dischidia. And yes, it is a Dischidia. I can't remember what the name is exactly. I'll see if I can put it on the screen. This has never been happy. It hasn't done particularly well in the last year and a half, and I just don't have time nor patience to be watering this. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't take up too much space. It is on a mount that you can see here, but it is one of the ones that I don't have the time nor the patience with it. Whilst we're here, and because it wouldn't me be going on holiday if this plant did not throw wobbly every time, this might be the only one that I try chopping and propping. It's like a tradition, and this time around I made sure that it was on the watering list and it was watered. Piper rubesioides. I just don't have no time, no patience for this anymore. I love this plant. I love this Piper. There's some green still, and I can see some stems that might still have some life in them, like sections of stems. So I might just chop it and put it in a propagation bin and hope for the best, but expect the worst and see how it goes, basically. But yeah, this is one that's not going to make it. The other thing from an older order, like a year ago, I think, which struggled the mostest, but finally moved it to a better position. This is the last remaining leaf of the seedling that I had from the Delta Force. See how busted that looks. But look, I've got a new leaf. And so far, it's an entire leaf because this is one that was struggling for a while. I got it to be happy again. And all that happened was that a slug came over and chewed the leaf. So I'm not going to count my blessings. Is that the expression? Quite so early this time around, but fingers crossed for me. It does well. I'm trying to think what else. Certain plants that got repotted. So I'm bringing it up a bit higher. This is the Anthurium GG. I'm trying to put like leaves. So this here is, and I'll bring you in so you can kind of see it, the Anthurium GG. And it was struggling for the longest time possible in semi-hydro, and it just wasn't liking life, and it was just making it worse and worse. I have moved it into soil. Shock horror, it's doing a lot better. And I've got another one here that's moved into soil and it's doing a lot better. And I can't remember now what it's called. Pinkley Eye. You can't see it, it's behind the beachy eye leaf, but it's the pots that are right there, basically. I can't see because I don't have enough arms. The other thing that might be of interest is, so my Queen Anthurium, the one leaf that it's got at the moment, doing relatively well. There was another leaf from last year. That's on its way out, but hopefully it's going to push out a new one, and it seems happy enough. Another Anthurium that I moved back into soil is the one here, so the Anthurium lancea. And so far, my experiments are going well with these plants, and hopefully you can see it right here. So it's underneath that. So it's back into an Anthurium soil mix, and I've got, instead of a sphagnum moss collar, I've got a collar of tree fern fiber, basically. And that is doing so well so far. I'm not seeing any roots coming into it, but the plant seems super happy. Whether it's the soil or the tree fern, I don't know. But the tree fern is not giving it grief. So for now, I'm considering that a partial success. Another plant that is doing the same at the moment is, and hopefully you'll be able to see between the leaves, right there, you should be able to see the tree fern fiber there. That is, oh, I'll put it at the top. That's the one that's a bit like corrugated leaves. Cannot remember off the top of my head now at the moment what that one is called, but doing super, super well. You can see, hopefully, if I pan you up a bit, you can see the crocodile fern right here doing very, very well. And I know a lot of you, because I've got new angles now in videos, are always asking what this plant is behind me. So this is the Traversia burkii. This is a beautiful plant. I've always managed to get like crispy tips on some of the topper leaves, but that's always been the case. This is also a mealybug magnet. However, I will say this for a fact. It doesn't cause absolutely any issue to the plant. It still grows happily. This has got a weird growing cycle, if that makes sense, where it really wants to grow in autumn and spring. I think the conditions are just right in this space. It does nothing in the winter or in the summer. with the exception that in the summer, it needs watering every 2 or 3 days, depending on how hot it is. Sometimes if it's super hot, it might need watering every day, and it doesn't push out any leaves. So I think it's a temperature thing, potentially. Based on my humblest assumption here, I think it's a temperature thing with this. If it's too hot or too cold, it's not happy. It needs that kind of Goldilocks region. For anybody that is asking, because these don't come up very often, the only place I have ever found it is a place where I bought it from, which is Grow Tropicals. I saw the other day, and it might be gone already by the time I'm filming this video, and I will put a link down below. This I got from Grow Tropicals, and currently they have it on discount. I don't know how many items they've still got of this. And I think it was like 60 or 65 Great British pounds, down from like 120 or something, which, by the way, I bought this at full whack and I was happy about it because these do not come into the market very often. And at least for me, it was something that I was looking for, a Traversia or Traversia type plant for 5 to 6 years before I found it. So I'm just like, done, sold. But even at the better price, let's put it this way. If I had more space in here, or if I was in a newer conservatory and I could grow this like a tree in a big pot, I would probably get another one and grow it like a tree. Because these can get absolutely huge. This, the biggest problem I have with it is the fact that it keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And I have nowhere to put it anymore. So be warned. Another little success story is down here. Ignore the yellowing leaves from, and I need to clear these off, Ficus elastica. But this leaf here that you might be able to see is the comeback queen that is the Anthurium querumalens, which I thought was dying. Last ditch attempt, because I've enjoyed growing this so much, is I put it in a net pot, took it out of its semi-hydro, gave it the tree fern fiber collar, immediately pushed out a leaf, immediately. So I'm hoping it's working on another one. This is going quite dry quite quickly, but I'm okay with that at the moment. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, one of the big updates is the plant behind me. The plant that you usually see behind me, and I will pan you up so you can kind of see. So that, for the people that are always worried, is where my Philodendron esmeraldens leaves are at the moment. What has happened, and I think I know the reason now, barring the fact that there were older leaves. Also, this is the oldest leaves on my Splendid, so it's on its way out. But you can see the stem here, and I'll take you down. You can also see the Vitarifolium here as well. But you can see that stem all the way down to the bottom is barren now. It dropped most of its leaves. It had dropped the leaves up to about here for the last year or two, and then it lost some of the higher leaves. What I might end up doing is air layering, which is what I did, because there's a second Philodendron esmeraldens down below in semi-hydro. But what I might do is do some air layering at the top here, let the top bit root out, chop it, move it back down, and then I'll have a third one, and then the mother plant can still keep producing leaves from a lower position then. But one thing that I did now for the first time in 6 years, because remember I kept telling you how small the pot was in this, some of the issue might have been the fact that the pot, I was doing it on purpose. Let me be clear on this one. I was doing it on purpose because it gave me more control on the watering. However, what I think happened over winter and summer is in the winter, it didn't get enough water, even if it was cold and I wanted to pull back so the plant didn't die. And by the way, let me clarify this. Basically, what I wanted to say is I've repotted. So you might be able to see down there, this pot here is the new pot. You can see the semi-hydro pot next to it. Ignore all my cabling. But repotted it, that was a mission and a half because the whole plant is attached to the shelf and I did not want to take it off because it will not support itself. So that was fun angles that happened in order for me to repot that. You can see the Anthurium esmeraldens here as well. But repotted it and I was cringing because it was an opaque pot and I'm just like, oh, the leaves are just old. I knew that the leaves were old, but you know when I start questioning myself as well, I've had so many people on this channel worrying about it that then eventually got me worrying about it, even knowing what I've known over the years with this plant. And I'm just like, is it root rot? Has everybody else been like correct and I've been the one that's been wrong? The roots were perfect. Not a single sign of stress on the roots whatsoever. Not even the smallest bit of blackness from root rot or anything like that. It was entirely fine, but it was very much root bound. Very, very, very root bound, basically. So I'm just like, look, you know what? You deserve a new home. It's been 6 years. You've done well. So I only went up a size or two, I think, just because I'm just like, it was going to be a heat wave in the summer. And I'm just like, you know what? And I did it, I wanted to do it early enough. So I'm just like, you've got enough time to settle. It doesn't stay wet for too long. You can start rooting in heavily into your growing media and you should be fine. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So for the people that have been worrying, I have checked the roots now as well. There's nothing wrong with the plant in that respect. It is just losing its older leaves. And it's one of those things that I think somebody else commented on some of the videos that people were kind of commenting on this. And it is the vast reality of a lot of us, and I'm including myself in this, when we've got certain plants and we've only had them for a year or two, we think we've had them for a long time, but actually there's some people that have been growing these plants for 6 years, 10 years, 15 years. What we know is not the same as what they know. And the problem that you get sometimes with much bigger, more kind of mature plants that are a good few 5 to 10 to 20 years old, you'll notice certain patterns that happen with these plants. They won't keep all of their leaves. It might be a seasonal thing. It might be just because the leaves need to kind of be rejected on the oldest leaves so that it's got enough energy to grow up higher. I encourage you to look at plants in nature. I'm not even saying find other tropical plants, but I'm encouraging you to look in nature and see plants don't keep all of their branches or all of their leaves or all of their petioles. Some of the older ones, and that's why sometimes you get bare stems and then you get a really bushy plant at the top. It might not be something that we want, but it is something that the plants are used to doing over millennia, basically. Now, in terms of aesthetics, because I know that there's a lot of people that are interested in aesthetics, if it's not something that you're comfortable with, I'm okay with this. I'm okay for the plants to be free and wild and as much as they will be in my space. But if you are more of the aesthetic person, you could always, and there's enough of us online now that have shown you that there is zero issue with this, and I can show you an example of how it's kind of bouncing back. Chop it back. Chop it back to like a stump or a bit more than a stump. Be careful with your watering at that point and watch it bush, words. Watch it bush up at the bottom and then it can start growing again. But you will lose the height. So a plant that was very tall and very impressive, it won't be tall or impressive. The leaves might go back down to juvenile level and you will start over again. But sometimes that can be quite nice as well. You can fall in love with all the life stages of your plants again. Granted, if it's got enough roots, it might go towards mature leaves faster, but it's no guarantee. Depends on the plants. And let me give you an example of that in practice so you can see what that means. So this was struggling, and I'm trying to think what this plant was. This was an Anthurium, and I'll see if I can put the name on the screen. Can you see that newest little leaf? And can you see the two stems? This, unfortunately, here, and I'll put my nose there, I knocked the leaf so it kind of dried out. The other one's doing quite well. It's two bare stems. Two bare stems. They were the original stems. Some of them had roots, some of them didn't. Shoved it in some soil. Give it a month or two, it will be fine. But yes, that was a bit of a quick and dirty update around my space, things that I've learned, how some of the plants are doing from recent purchases, a bit of an update on some of my mum's plants, a big update on the big Esmeraldens behind me. What do you think? What do you think? I'm so happy to be back with everybody now. It was a nice break, but it was really weird because I was still trying to answer some of your questions on videos that were being posted every week on my channel, but I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm talking to like my community. Like it felt like I was answering, but it was just like, oh, this doesn't feel normal. Like I'm very much a creature of habit, and I've missed all my planty people. So I'm very happy to be back with all of you now. The holiday was great. I managed to decompress, which was what was needed. But yes, happy to be getting stuck back into it and hopefully going back to 2 videos a week, as I said. And I can make adjustments as and when are needed, basically, either if I'm on holiday or if it's a particularly difficult week. I know a lot of you are very gracious to kind of say, look, do it whenever you can. I'll tell you a little secret for free, where you see a lot of your content creators doing that. A lot of the times it is to keep everybody happy as well, but a lot of the times it's also to keep Google and not Google, YouTube, but one of the same. Because a lot of the time, if we miss regular scheduled upload spots, our videos just don't get pushed out to even our usual audience then for a while. So you might be like, okay, I need the break, but if I take the break, it's going to like cause me issues on my channel for like a few weeks further down the line. So unfortunately, we are to a certain point slaves to the algorithm. But yeah, did not want to end on a negative note, but yes, on a positive note, doing well, even after a heat wave. Trust me, the watering has been intense, but collection is doing okay. Some crispy leaves here and there, some yellowing leaves, some plants that are going to end up in the compost bin, but overall, most things are super happy. Most things are super happy. So yeah, tell me if any of this surprised you. If you want to share some of your updates on how your plants are doing at the moment. I know a lot of nations around the world, at least in the northern hemisphere, have been having summer and very brutal summers. Please do share down below, even if it's just to whinge about the heat waves and all the extra care and watering that you had to do. But yes, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.